What's going on, everyone? So the Indiana Pacers have not had a very good season at all. They've been a total dumpster fire, which is crazy. I know that they lost Miles Turner, but to be this bad without Tyrese Halliburton, man, shows the value of just kind of what your engine can do for you, right? But reports that came out that the Indiana Pacers are looking for their center of the future. They want a franchise-level center. Walker Kessler is somebody that they're linked to, which actually, I'm not going to lie, kind of makes sense for them. Right? They're not going to be getting good this year. Walker Kessler's out for the year. You might be able to get him pretty cheap. You might get him cheaper than you would any other time. Right? So if you could trade for him now as the franchise center, the franchise cornerstone for you, right? You don't care if he plays this year. You just get through the season with Jay Huff, and then now you got him with Tyrese Halliburton back and all that stuff. And now you're just kind of in that position where you can kind of retool and revamp and do what you need to do in order to be the best team possible. So I do think that makes sense. Obviously, the Lakers don't have, they could use more centers themselves. I think they found their franchise center in Deandre Ayton. He's been fantastic. I love his answer, when they talked about, you had 14 and 12 first center, first starting center to have, go perfect, have a double-double and go perfect from the floor, 7 to 7. And he was dude, that's my job, right? I loved it. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, DeAndre Ayton is becoming a media darling for one, and his interviews are the best. They're so funny, they're so entertaining. They're just, if you haven't watched some of his interviews, go watch them. They are great, hilariously great, right? But he even said, look, I'm just here to do my job, right? That is an average game for me, right? I need to be better than that. I love that answer, right? Because, he wants to be a 20 and 10 center again. And I think he can be, right? Without a doubt. He's the fourth, fifth. You can't get 20 points with 7 attempts, right? Unless they're all threes and 7 to 7 from 3, but he's the center. But I digress. Point is, right? Lakers don't have that answer for Indiana. But could they get in on as a third team type of trade type thing, especially with a team like Utah? Danny Ainge and the Lakers have a history of making trades. I know people are going to say Danny Ainge is going to help him again because he swindled. If every time I was told Danny Ainge wouldn't do a trade with the Lakers, I would be filthy rich. I'd be swimming in money, right? I'd be on, this background would be somewhere on some remote beach while I'm making videos going hey, here at my beach, the Ty Lopez reference, here in my garage. But no, I'd be doing videos with a Lamborghini behind me or something, right? Because again, people always have every reason why Danny Ainge wouldn't do a trade with us. Lakers absolutely, I think, could do a trade with Danny Ainge. And some of the guys on Indiana, if it depends on what Utah would want to do, it depends on what some of these teams would want to do. But Indiana is flushed. And I mean flushed with guys that make a ton of sense for us, right? They have a ton of guys that I would love to just go and acquire if possible. The question is, like I said, what direction is Indiana looking to do? Right? Are they looking to kind of retool and hey, let's go get our franchise center. Tyrese Halliburton's coming back next season, and then we're just going to revamp this whole roster in the offseason? Or do they kind of want to keep everything intact, go get that center, Tyrese Halliburton comes back, and then kind of run it as is with that center and Tyrese Halliburton, right? Because, can you get an Andrew Nembhard, right? Benedict Mathurin, I would love. Aaron Nesmith would be ideal, right? And some of these guys, right, you look at their ages, Nesmith is 26, right? So it's how much sense does he make for the Utah Jazz or any of these teams, right? Nembhard is 25, right? How much sense do they make for those guys? They're not old in the sense of we wouldn't want them, but, Utah in particular, there's a lot of talks that Utah wants to and may want to kind of build around Lauri Markkanen rather than trade him. I don't think that that's true. I think they're just saying that to try to keep his value high, right? So, but even if it's not, a Utah trade, maybe it's another trade, right? My point is like, can the Lakers either get in as a third team, or can they just do a trade straight up with the Pacers, right, to get some guys? The Pacers are going to have to pick a lane and pick a direction one way or another. They're 14th in the East. They're not going to magically, I just don't see them rattling off like a 25-game win streak or anything crazy like that. I think that they're kind of where they're at, right? I've seen people throw out like Pascal Siakam. My problem is like he's best at the 4. Right? Like if we didn't have LeBron, I'd be like, yeah, go get Pascal. Like Pascal Siakam makes a ton of sense, right? Like I would love to have Pascal Siakam, but right now I just like Siakam. He's the guy you want slotted in at your 4 spot, right? So what, you're moving LeBron to your 3, or you're playing Siakam out of position. Like, can he play the 3? Sure, but like again, it's not his best position. It's not where you best maximize him. So personally, I'd stay away from Siakam unless you get him like dirt cheap. If you get him like super cheap, right? Like, where you can't pass it up. But I mean, he's 31. He's kind of the veteran. He's the guy that has the experience, won a championship there. So I could see them want to keep him. I'm hoping Indiana kind of goes like, hey, let's revamp this thing. All right, like let's kind of retool this thing. Obviously, we're not going to be able to be the Pacers of the past. You also don't know how Tyrese Halliburton is going to come back and how is he going to look as a player and all those things. So, the problem is like Nesmith and Nembhard in particular, who are the 2 guys I want the most. Problem is they're still young enough to where you could give it a year or 2, right? Like I almost wish they were 28, 29, somewhere in that range, to where it's like, like if you're Indiana, it's like maybe we should go younger and kind of try to retool this thing, because Tyrese Halliburton's 25, so he's still young enough to where we can give it a year or 2 and be back in the title contention and maybe winning an NBA Finals this time. But the concern, the issue is that like I said, Nesmith and Nembhard they're young enough to where you can keep them around, right? Like this year and next year, and then kind of make a decision. But like, depending on if I'm the Lakers, I'm at least trying. You at least pick up the phone and just, hey, where are you guys at with these guys? Right? Worst thing they say is like, no, we're not trading them and hang up on you. Best case scenario, maybe they go like, hey, we're kind of on the fence. Maybe, yeah, we're open to a trade, or maybe get back to us closer to the trade deadline or something like that when we kind of have a better gauge of what we're going to do, right? Like maybe right now the answer is no, but hey, close to trade deadline, we might, hit my line type thing. And, you just kind of do your due diligence. The other side of things too, in my opinion, is, I think you monitor them and you see kind of like what teams, because what teams have a franchise center that they could trade to Indiana. Like Utah is one that comes to mind. New Orleans with like a Misi, right? Like, they have somebody, right? So there's a couple teams that have, kind of these young centers, maybe the Nets, right? So to me, if you're the Lakers, maybe you can come in and, hey, Brooklyn, like you're kind of rebuilding, you're kind of retooling things. Send Nembhard to us if he gets traded, or Nesmith, right? Like send Nesmith to us. I don't think that they would trade both of them, but maybe one of them, right? So let's say that they're willing to include a Nesmith in that package. It's like, hey, send Nesmith to us and we'll give you assets for him, right? Or, Utah, or, New Orleans, or whoever that team ends up being. Because like I said, they have a couple guys. Obi Toppin, I wouldn't hate as well. Just give you some athleticism out there on the perimeter, kind of two-way guy. Chase Walker, I wouldn't hate. But really, like, Mathurin, Nesmith, and Nembhard are like the 3 guys that I look at with this team, and I'm like, man, I would love to get one, if not all 3 of them. I'd sell the farm to get all 3 of those guys. I mean, you're talking we've seen how good Indiana was with Tyrese Halliburton. Imagine how good they would be with Luka Doncic next to them. Right? Imagine Nesmith and Nembhard slotted in next to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves and stuff like that, and they're playmaking and scoring and all that stuff. I mean, it'd be ridiculous at that point. Right? So it's just something to kind of keep an eye on. I wanted to talk about Indiana, period, at some point, right? Because they've been so bad, and the potential of them having a fire sale. We've heard a lot of teams, Clippers and Kings and all these teams ready to have a fire sale. And we haven't really heard it from Indiana, which I get. Like, if you're Indiana, it's kind of like your guys are still young enough, right? Like, do you really want to sell the farm for a team that was just in the NBA Finals and you're getting your superstar back and, you just need to kind of solve the center position? So it kind of seems like that's what they want to do. Solve the center position and then bring, Halliburton back. But I'm hoping that maybe in that process, at least one of those three guys end up getting traded, and then maybe the Lakers come in and get a Mathurin, a Nesmith, or a Nembhard, something like that. That would be great. And then also, if they at any point Indiana does decide to have a fire sale, Lakers need to be on that phone immediately. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me not. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.